Hello, welcome to another Burgundy with Tweedy video. Been in Kensington today, so I thought I would go to the shop whose name I seem to be struggling to remember. Is it Huntworth Wine on Kensington High Street, Kensington Church Street, something like that. I'll put it on the screen if it matters. And I remember they had some slightly under the radar, slightly relative bargains for Burgundy in the past. I picked up quite a good Bourgogne Côte de Nuit. Previously they didn't have any more of that specific wine, but I did find a couple of other things lurking around, including this Vosne Romane. It's from a producer called Cacheux. I think I've had something from a Cacheux before. Is it maybe a René Cacheux? And that was another Vosne Romane. This I think is a different producer. I'm not exactly sure. It's a 2016 vintage. I haven't always had a great time with that particular vintage from Burgundy. I have in my mind the idea that it was quite rainy or something, but I may have misremembered that. But it's certainly not been a surefire success for me. The chap in the shop was almost trying to talk me out of buying it, which was funny. He didn't really think this was a great example of the breed, but by Vosne Romane standards, this was a comparative bargain. It was under 50 quid. Vosne Romane prices typically, I always say this, don't I, but 70, 80 plus. So anything in that sort of lower sub 50 quid ballpark seems like a bargain, even if it might be a slightly underwhelming wine. I'm having a bit of difficulty getting the cork out here. It's a slightly composite sort of cork. I always find these sort of grating noises against the glass a little bit unnerving. I hope I'm not basically shaving off shards of glass into the bottle that I will then subsequently drink. The weather has turned out much nicer than expected. It was a bit grim earlier, rather none of this matters, does it? Cold and windy earlier, not like the spring day I had hoped for. And it suddenly turned nice around just before sunset. I don't know if you can see a bit of golden light on my face there. I'm in the woods. I'm not going to get a perfect view of the sun. The heath, as you can imagine, on a day like today when the weather's actually reasonably nice, is a bit overrun. It's a Saturday, early evening, late afternoon. So I took a gamble on this, even though the chap in the shop said he was a little bit underwhelmed by it. I asked the last time he'd tried it, and he said 2 years ago. So I'm just hoping that somehow in the interim, this has improved. So, on the nose, something slightly fruity, but it's a little bit muted. Guess that's there's a slightly more in kind of black currant territory, if it's anything. Possibly some other currants in there, maybe a bit of red currant, even a tiny bit of cranberry. It's all quite the opposite of luscious. Those more severe, that's not the word I'm looking for, sort of drier kind of fruit. Interesting on the palate. Quite a lot of tingly sort of spice to begin with. I hope that's not glass shavings. Yeah, interesting sort of tingle to that. I wouldn't say particularly tannic though. There is a little bit more fruit character on the palate, getting something more, and again it's in that sort of red berry territory, but not really cherry. It doesn't have quite that kind of lusciousness to it. More of that sort of tingly spice, not immediately blowing me away. It may well be that the chap in the shop did indeed know what he's talking about, but I'll keep mulling over it. I'm warming to it slightly. I think it's developing a little bit in the glass. I'm getting slightly more plummy kind of fruit notes to it now. Hints of maybe tobacco, not in a smoky way, in a sort of veering, slightly perfumey actually. The palate seems to be veering a bit drier, a little bit more acidity showing now. I'm getting some mineral notes as well, so it's okay, I would say. I'm not exactly sure what the chap in the shop was looking for in this wine and why it was he considered it to be a disappointment, but I wouldn't say it has the immediate sort of finesse and elegance and all of those things that you hope for in a Vosne Romane, but it's interesting. It's a bit different, certainly not completely undrinkable. Not sure what else to say. Cheers.